Let's remind ourselves of how we got to where we are today. 21-year-old Meredith Kercher was found dead in a house in Perugia on November the 2nd, 2007. 4 days later, Meredith's housemate, American student Amanda Knox, and her Italian boyfriend, Raffaele Sollecito, were arrested and kept in prison awaiting trial. On November the 20th, Rudy Gede was arrested in Germany. He admitted being in the house on the night of the murder and was sentenced to 16 years in jail for his part in her murder. In December 2009, Knox and Sollecito were also found guilty of murder and sentenced to 26 and 25 years in prison, respectively. But in October 2011, they won appeals and were cleared. The judge ordered their passports to be returned, and Amanda Knox flew back to Seattle. In March 2013, the Italian Supreme Court in Rome overturned the appeal verdict and ordered a fresh hearing in Florence. And yesterday, Florence's appeal court confirmed the first-grade verdict and sentenced Knox and Sollecito to 28 and 25 years in prison. Well, I'm joined now by Giovanna Valentino, a criminal law and extradition specialist with Lansbury Worthington Solicitors here in London, and from Idaho by Greg Campion, a Boise State biology and criminal justice professor who helped analyze DNA evidence in the original case and believes that Knox is innocent of Meredith Kercher's murder. Welcome to you both. Let me start with you, Giovanna. One could be excused, could one not, for thinking that the Italian justice system is at best confused and at worst a little bit corrupt.
I would agree it's probably confusing for a common lawyer. I'm not sure that one could agree that it's corrupt. Certainly confusing.
Guilty, innocent, guilty? I mean...
Well, the sentence, the judgment is only final when the Court of Cassation says so. And the Court of Cassation in this instance hadn't said so. It's only when the appeal is then appealed to the Court of Cassation and a final judgment is given that the judgment will be final and it'll be enforced. So when Miss Knox was acquitted a few years back, the judgment wasn't final. She was aware it wasn't final. It had to be appealed against by the prosecutor because that was the immediate information that she received when the verdict was given. So it is probably difficult, but not corrupt, certainly.
Okay, let's talk to Greg Campion in Boise, Idaho. Mr. Campion, you've been very close to the Knox family on all this. I mean, she was found guilty, she was found innocent. Now a court in Italy has found her guilty again. Should she not just come back and face the music?
Well, she hasn't been asked to come back and face the music, so there's no reason to do that. And I think she runs significant risk in a system that, as you have described, kind of has ping-ponged her freedom. The court did more than just find her innocent. They've asked for DNA tests all along. So there's been, at each of these appeals, there's been a DNA test. Each of those has exonerated her. Each of those has cleared her. So this court that just found her guilty asked for one test. They asked for the knife to be retested, and that test supported the defense contention that this was a kitchen knife never used for a murder. No blood, no DNA from the victim. The judge asked for one test, got one result. It cleared her. I don't understand this verdict. I wouldn't return to such a system in a trusting way. The science wasn't listened to. I don't understand the Italian court. It has some advantages. I like that the judge asked for these tests. We don't often get that in the United States. So each system has advantages, but this was really hard to understand.
You still believe in her innocence today?
Absolutely. The only things that have been done after her original conviction were 2 DNA tests. One, the first appeals court ordered, done by Italian experts appointed by the judge, and it cleared Amanda Knox. The second test, ordered by this court, in November the report was released, and it cleared Amanda Knox. So the only things added since her trial have been those 2 tests, and they both clear her. I started out knowing that there was no good evidence. These people were arrested 4 days after the murder, before the DNA was processed, before the fingerprints.
Let's turn to Giovanna Valentino. So you heard what our friend there said in Boise, Idaho.
Yes, I have.
mean, no substantial new evidence found. Do you buy that argument, or do you think that the judicial process in Italy has done what it was supposed to do?
Firstly, can I say that The fact that she wasn't asked to attend, it's neither here nor there. It's her choice whether she wishes to attend or not. And she, unlike Mr. Sollecito, chose not to be present.
But apart from that, what about the actual substantial evidence against her?
It's possible for the court to invite further evidence or evidence already obtained to be retested, but that does not prevent the judge from reaching a different conclusions to the conclusion reached by the Court of Appeal of Perugia. I believe that aside from the DNA evidence, from what I have read about it, there are quite a large number of circumstantial evidence against Miss Knox, which clearly point in one direction, and that's conviction.
So you've got a court in Perugia, then you have an appeals court in Florence, it goes to the Supreme Court elsewhere.
Except the DNA evidence.
Okay. Okay, we heard that. But I just want to ask you quickly, so you've got these different courts competing almost with each other on what they've come up with as a verdict. I mean, at one stage, I guess you could say she was acquitted in the last case. They gave her passport back. They allowed her to travel to the United States.
Yes, that's possible. However, she was aware the proceedings hadn't concluded. The prosecutor indicated there would be an appeal to the Court of Cassation, and clearly the Court of Cassation found that there were fundamental errors in the judgment of the Court of Appeal of Perugia, so much because the Court of Cassation, if the evidence was so weak, could have easily quashed the conviction and ordered or confirmed her acquittal.
Right.
They didn't.
Let's turn back to Greg in Boise, Idaho. Greg, I mean, although there is a judicial process here, there is no denying that there is also a court of public opinion, and that when it does come to extradition, this could end up being quite political because the State Department will get involved. Do you think it's right that something that should be a judicial process where the Kircher family wants to see justice done should be polluted, if you like, by the oxygen of publicity and by politics?
Well, I think everybody wants to see the truth found in every case. I think human beings generally want that, but people get misled for various reasons, and that's why we have forensic science. You need science to take care of disagreements between gut feelings, and the science has spoken over and over again in this case. Rudy Gaudet, DNA in the victim's vagina, his fingerprints in the room where she was killed, his DNA all over that site. That science is so clear, and every test done post-conviction has shown that DNA shows that Amanda Knox didn't commit any crime in this case, and neither did Rafael Sollecito. So public opinion will change eventually when public opinion examines facts clearly. That takes time.
Got to leave it there, I'm afraid. Greg Campion in Boise, Idaho, Giovanna Valentino here in London. Thank you very much. This is going to carry on and on and on as the appeals process does too. Thanks very much for coming in. Kathy.